You're just in time for our conversation tonight. We have seen those worrying headlines, building collapsing, people losing their homes, and questions being asked who really keeps an eye on the construction safety in Kenya. And joining me now is architect Lawrence Gitau, the director of the National Building Inspectorate, to talk about what is being done to strengthen building safety and accountability in the sector. Welcome, architect.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening too. Let's begin with the big picture. For Kenyans who may not fully understand what the National Building Inspectorate does, how would you describe your mandate role in safeguarding the built environment?
Thank you very much. The National Building Inspectorate is a directorate in the State Department for Public Works, and we exist to ensure that the buildings that Kenyans live in are safe and resilient. Our main mandate is to coordinate the players in the industry, and there are many.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, architect, if I may ask for Kenyans who may not be familiar with, of course, the mandate you've just mentioned, one of them, but since NIB was established, how has the state of building safety and compliance in Kenya evolved?
The National Building Inspectorate was started through a presidential directive in 2015 by the then President, Uhuru Kenyatta. And it's after a number of buildings had collapsed. There was the Huruma, Sunbeam, and others. And it peaked to some point, but in the last 3 years, through the efforts of the State Department and our PS, Joel, and the National Building Inspectorate, and of course all the other stakeholders, the building collapses have come down. In fact, this year we've just had very few, and we hope to continue like that.
Okay. And when you look at, of course, the way you're talking about these several tragic incidents of building collapses, from your inspections and audits, what are the recurring causes of these failures?
Buildings have collapsed due to several issues, but key among them is the lack of involvement of professionals. Most of the projects that have collapsed, most of the buildings that have collapsed are often under construction. And these buildings, with the scarcity of land, are the buildings that either have parking on the ground floor or buildings that have been approved for a few floors, but the owners have decided to extend them. And majority of the buildings that have collapsed, there's been no involvement of an architect and no involvement of an engineer. Though we've seen projects that supposedly have been approved or have been designed by architects and engineers, have passed through the county government and approved, but the designs and the drawings fail on paper. They fail even before they get on site. Beyond that, we have issues of workmanship. Kenyans have devised a way of complying on paper. We register our projects just to be seen that you have a contractor. We put names of architects just to ensure that our buildings are stamped and approved by the county government. We put the names of engineers just to ensure that we comply. But when you get to the ground, there's no architect, there's no engineer. The contractor that appears on the board has no staff. So you get a contractor, then after you put them on the board and you call your fundi and show them what to do. So when you do that, what happens is that the workmanship will be very bad, and often what you've seen, concrete is the one that is failing. Hii kitu tunaita kakoto, that is what is failing. So people are using poor materials, poor ratios, they don't vibrate, they don't mix well, they don't let it cure in good time. And of course, when the sizing and the design is bad, it will fail, and often with causing fatalities.
Okay. With all that you have mentioned, how then does NIB ensure compliance with the national construction standards, especially among private developers operating in a fast-growing urban community?
The role of the National Building Inspectorate is essentially to coordinate. The mandate of building control is with the county government. It's a devolved function. And what we've been doing when we move around with the stakeholders. We work with stakeholders to coordinate them. That is, as I said, from the counties to the other players, NEMA, National Construction Authority, to ensure that they all undertake the roles within their mandate. We are working on a system a digitized system where the national government would be able to see what's happening in the counties. You realize that in most of our counties, though they have this function, they've taken the function of development control as a function just to collect fees. And when they collect fees, they do not put appropriate resources to the departments that have the mandate for building control, that is the urban development, lands, and others. Mm-hmm. So they pick the money, it's revenue, but you go into those counties, there's no architect and there's no engineer. Upon devolution, something very sad happened. People thought that public works was devolved. Mm-hmm. So the few officers who are there at the counties and at the former districts went to the counties, but a good number of them have since retired. Mm-hmm. And we only have a State Department for Public Works. We have skeleton staff at the regions and at the counties. And these are the staff that would be expected as per the Constitution to offer support to the counties on the skills where they don't have.
Okay.
What we've done right now, we've been discussing with the Public Service Commission, and we've seen at least our staff establishment has been approved, and we are working to have it approved that recruitment happen so that the State Department for Public Works can reestablish its regional offices. Mm-hmm. And with that reestablishment, they can be able to offer support to the counties and to the other players, mm-hmm. the other stakeholders, okay. Where development is happening.
Okay. Do you conduct nationwide audit of buildings, and what are some of the key findings?
Yes, we conduct nationwide audits. We've done quite a number of counties, and the key findings, as I've said, is that there's poor workmanship. Mm-hmm. Concrete is very bad. We have issues of materials in some areas of this country. Materials like sand, like aggregate. We have materials, barrow pits that are approved by nobody. You know, if you look at construction, for you to build a house, mm-hmm. you require many materials. There are some materials, the materials that are manufactured, cement and reinforcement steel, those ones you're sure you'll get quality because KBC is on top of it. But the other key materials, the sand, ile mchanga, the kakoto, that is the aggregate, nobody approves the barrow pits where our people are getting these materials. Mm-hmm. So one is on materials. The materials are poor. Secondly, our people, as I said, have decided not to use professionals. And this issue is complicated because the counties do not have professionals. Most of our counties have not employed architects, they've not employed engineers. Mm. The county is a very focal, the county department that is doing approval is a very focal point in ensuring safe built environment. If that sieve doesn't work, mm-hmm. irrespective of how competent the engineers there are, then bad buildings will be approved mm-hmm. and be built. And as I said, we have projects without contractors. We have people putting up buildings where they should not be put up. We have people putting up buildings on riparian reserves, next to rivers, next to water bodies, on very steep slopes. You know, if you put a building on a very steep slope, or if you put a building just on the riparian reserve next to a river, beyond NEMA telling you that it's not the right place, the river will come, will erode your foundation, will erode the soil below your foundation, and your building will collapse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, which counties or urban centers were flagged as high risk, and what immediate action are being taken to safeguard the public?
The most high risk center is Nairobi. Nairobi, and especially the Eastlands, where they have issues of title deeds, where you find a whole estate where buildings have not been designed by an architect, have not been designed by an engineer. Nairobi ranks as number one. The other counties surrounding us, the highly urbanized counties, Kiambu has the same issues of Nairobi, but worse because of their soils. We have red soils there, and their valleys and their hills, soils that get waterlogged when it rains. So when it rains, you hear issues in Kiambu, in Ruaka, in Limuru, and the other places. Then the other highly urbanizing counties, Kisii, Nyamira, where there are a lot of money coming from the diaspora and is going to construction, and where the counties and the structures are not good enough, and where the environment has not made it possible that professionals, architects and engineers can be attracted to set shops there because anybody will get a drawing approved. We've seen Mombasa, and especially Mombasa Island. Mombasa Island and the areas just around it sits on coral. So sometimes you think you've founded your building on firm foundation, but below the coral are voids. So the way the land was formed, especially around the island, it's like a landfill. So we have serious issues in Mombasa. You saw the one that happened this year in April, where a building collapsed, and we have many other issues around Mombasa that are happening.
Okay.
Yes.
So when a building is found unsafe, what steps follow, and are they demolished, reinforced, or marked for monitoring?
When we go for audit, we classify buildings. The best classification is safe. That means on structural integrity audit, it's safe, so that we let it stay. The one that is unsafe, what we do thereafter, we test. We do non-destructive test. We take our Schmidt hammers and other X-ray equipment and see whether there's enough steel in the concrete, whether there are voids in the concrete. Then we also expose foundation to see the size of the foundation, whether it's founded on firm ground. And of course, the basic is observation. See, buildings are living. They are just like people. So the signs of failure will be apparent. If there are cracks, depending on how the cracks look like and where they are, we'll make a determination on whether the building is unsafe or dangerous. There are some buildings, depending on the failure, that can be retrofitted, that can be brought back to life. But there are others where the failure is catastrophic and they must be demolished. For those ones that needs to be repaired or to be retrofitted, we offer supervision services for those buildings. And for the ones to be demolished, we also do the same. We approve the methodologies and supervise the removal of those buildings.
How long does it take to determine whether a building is safe or unsafe?
It depends on the size of a building. But basically, a 5-story building, you'll need, say, 5 or 6 days if you have to expose foundation, cut concrete, sometimes get soil, take it to the lab. So the soil must go to the lab. So say a week on a big building, but some small buildings, depending on the size. And as I've said, some signs of failure, you just don't even need to take any measurements, to take any tests. You can see them. You see a big wide crack, you'll know that this building is going to come down. Last December, we visited with the multi-sector team a building that had shown signs of failure in Kahawa West. And the signs that you are seeing, the size of the cracks and where they were, and the punching, that is the way the columns were sitting on the floor, showed that it was coming down. Indeed, we evacuated this building, and 3 days after, the building collapsed. And since we had cordoned off, there were no fatalities, and people even had a chance to see a spectacular failure, unfortunately. Yes.
As a tenant, can I be able to determine whether a building is unsafe or has cracks?
Yes, as a tenant, you can, before a building fails, there are signs.
All right.
Just the same way.
The cracks and all
the
that.
The cracks, when you see cracks on the wall, when you see cracks on the floor, especially straight cracks all through the floor, that means the settlement is an even settlement. If you see a column punching, to punch is just the same meaning, something going through. So you see a column, and just around the pillar, you see there's a crack. That means the column is going down and leaving the floor. If you see diagonal cracks on the beams, that is the concrete that supports the 2 pillars. You know the issues. If there are vibrations, excessive vibrations on that building, you'll know that your building is unsafe. And when you see your building is unsafe, the best thing is to vacate and call for professional advice, call for an engineer to come, a competent engineer to come and inspect.
Okay. All right, let's look at affordable housing and the urban development. Now, this is one of the flagships of the government, and what role does NIB play when it comes to ensuring safety and structuring integrity of these new housing units?
Our role in the at the affordable housing as the State Department for Public Works is quality assurance. So the projects are being done under supervision of competent architects, competent engineers. They've been well designed. But beyond that, the third parties need quality assurance. So before people occupy these buildings, we inspect them and give them a green bill of health. So ours is quality assurance since there are other professionals involved. And thereafter, on these affordable housing and all other houses, the law requires that these projects must be inspected at least once every 5 years. So after these projects are complete, they will be inspected by the National Building Inspectorate or by the inspectors who will be accredited by NBI to be able to inspect those buildings, to ensure that they remain safe and they remain healthy.
And from your observation, are developers under the affordable housing agenda meeting the required construction and safety standards?
So far, so good. We've not had any issues on the affordable housing. But as you see, we are just rolling them out. And so far, so good. We've had no issues.
Okay. On collaboration and enforcement, and earlier on you had talked about a multi-sectoral approach to some of the issues in the construction sector. Now, building regulations, of course, as you have said, includes multiple players. How do you coordinate to avoid overlaps, and also strengthen the accountability?
The way the law is designed, there are many players. As I said, there's the county government that starts the approval. There are the regulators of the architects, regulators of engineers. We have DEMA, we have Water Resource Authority, we have road agencies, KERA, KENHA, KURA, and the others. So what we do is that we have a multi-sectoral coordination team, and the one current is the CS, the Cabinet Secretary, has already pushed for its gazettement, is at the Attorney General's. So the first thing is that this multi-sector team is gazetted so that it has a legal mandate. And after it's gazetted, it's chaired by my PS, the PS Public Works, and I also co-chair as the Secretary, National Building Inspectorate. So we have monthly meetings and we have operations. In the committee, there's the main committee where the PS sits, and there's an operation subcommittee where the directors and the other people in the field sit. And the buildings that have been flagged, we risk profile buildings. We do not do blanket operations.
All right.
So the counties risk profile the buildings that they would want the multi-sector team to go and inspect. Often these are buildings that have issues beyond their control or have politics. It's important to realize that our counties operate under a very highly politicized environment. So to be able to overcome this highly politicized environment, they need to call the multi-sector team, where you cannot say it's A who made the decision, it's the team.
Okay. So what legal or administrative measures are in place to hold rogue developers, engineers, as well as architects accountable for unsafe building?
I must say the law at the moment is very lenient. An architect or an engineer, like the ones we had in Mombasa, who designed that building that collapsed, at most all they'll get is a suspension of 2 years. NCA can penalize contractors, but the only penalty they can do is just to remove them from the role. But as we speak, the National Construction Authority is reviewing the Act, the NCA Act, and they would want to introduce fines, punitive fines for developers. You see, the law as it is, you can fine an engineer. I mean, you can remove an engineer or an architect from a role or a contractor. But a developer who decides to comply only on paper, who decides to build without a consultant, an engineer, unless someone dies and there's a criminal case, there is no other way to bring that person to book. So we go to site, we audit, we inspect. Often the developer will not be there. They'll have people. We have a highly informal sector where you go to a site, you cannot know who is the developer. So the people you pick on site during those operations, whether it's by NCA, whether it's by the county, you know, the county used to have a county court but it's no longer there. Now they have to work with the judiciary. The timelines for the judiciary are very strict. So you get someone, if it's not the owner, the person goes and says, I was just passing by.
Okay.
And they're let go.
All right. Now, on innovation and capacity building, and we are a digitized nation, how is NIB leveraging on technology, for example, like through digital mapping, data analytics to enhance efficiency and transparency?
We are developing an integrated e-building management system. This will be an intelligent system, not like the processed e-dams that the counties have. It will be like, this is a system like the one that's happening out there, where architects would submit output drawings on exact site, where we would be able to digitize the building code. We would be able to digitize the zoning guidelines so that when you submit your drawing, even before a building control officer tells you they are wrong, you just see the building is on beacon to beacon, so you can't be able to submit. The building does not fit within the building code, so you are forced, even before you interact with someone, to revise the drawing. And beyond that, we would want all the counties to plug in into that system, and also know that whatever happens, as I said, it's a highly politicized environment, so they'll know whatever happens, there's a big brother watching.
All right. Architect, as we come to a close, my director is on my case to wind up, but what are your long-term vision for the building safety in Kenya, as well as your message that you'd like to share with developers, homeowners, as well as the public in ensuring that they're safe, compliant, and sustainable buildings?
My vision for this country and for the built environment is that as soon as we roll out this e-development, e-building management system, with our safe environment, and that the consultants, the engineers, the architects, and all the built environment professionals will have better jobs. The contractors and the people working in the construction industry will have formalized jobs, and with a system where people engage professionals, we have enough work in this country for each engineer, for each architect, for each contractor, for each diploma holder in the built environment to engage them. We've done numbers. Just give me a minute. We've done numbers. We've cracked numbers by looking at the value of cement consumption in this country. If you look at those numbers, about 360 billion worth of construction in this country. If you get a percent, say 10% of that amount going to fees of engineers, architects, and others, we're able to employ each and every engineer and architect in this country at a salary of over 400,000 shillings a month. And this would form sustainable firms that would move on now to the contractors who would employ all these other people who are practicing as quacks because they have no one to employ them. What I would want to tell Kenyans is that when you want to design, when you want to build that house, when you want to invest your hard-earned resources, the cost of having an architect, the cost of having an engineer is much cheaper than the cost of repairs during retrofit. It's more than the cost or you would incur if your building comes down. So we have enough engineers in this country, we have enough architects in this country, and don't accept someone just because they say they are an engineer. Go to the website. The Board of Registration of Architects has a website where the list of all licensed architects are there. The Board of Registration of Engineers, EBK, has a portal. Just go type the name, see whether they are registered. If they are not there, those are quacks. Do not engage them. Invest your money wisely. Okay.
Thank you, Architect Lawrence Gitao, for engaging us and for your insights. He is the director at the National Building Inspectorate, sharing with us his insights on building safety and compliance. We take a short commercial break. We'll be back with the sport.